Little known fact about me. I am autistic. Okay, but seriously, I am autistic, and it went under the radar for years upon years. I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 8 years old, but that was it, and it never quite explained everything about me. The meltdowns, my intense fixation on any book I could get my hands on, my inability to read social situations. You name a symptom of autism, I've got it, at least to some degree. Even my mom eventually admitted this, in a very roundabout way. Of all her 4 kids, she said, I'm the most likely to have autism. Which, fair. But my psychologist never believed I had these overt symptoms that my parents described, because as all things were, my approach to therapy was sabotaged by my father. You see, I was a talkative kid. I'm talkative now, but I was especially so before I learned how to mask. I was on the steroid inhaler at the time. I forget the name of it, but I was later told it could cause hyperactivity in kids. I was very hyperactive, and I also stimmed a fair bit. When I went to a therapist for the first time due to aggression and suicidal behaviors, I was bouncing off the walls, fidgeting, climbing around on the couch, just, being a kid with undiagnosed ADHD. What I remember most about that trip to my therapist is that she had 2 doors in her office. One led out to the hallway, which led out of the building, and the other just led directly out of the building. I found this fascinating for some reason. When the time came to leave the appointment, I of course asked if I could leave through that door because it would lead straight out to the car, and the therapist said sure, why not? But immediately, when I got into the car, my father started yelling at me for how I had behaved during the appointment, for fidgeting, for going out the wrong door, for lots of other things that I don't quite remember. It sent me into shutdown, and I never felt comfortable at a therapist's office since then. July 14th marked the 2-year anniversary of my family leaving my dad. I don't have much to say about the month or so immediately following our departure, mainly because it's all a bit of a blur, but I had been wanting to start a channel for years before we left. And my mom finally let me, just to give me something to distract from that, I guess. I was homeless when I published my first video, July 19th, 2022. We were couch surfing at my dad's cousin's place at the time, and so I animated a short 17-second introduction video. It sucked, but it got around 30 views, and I knew even then that I was serious about this. Which is why it probably comes as a surprise that I'm still wearing this. I make video essays. I'm trying to replicate the style of ContraPoints in philosophy tube. My special interest is philosophy. You can't make the videos that I make and cover your face at the same time. So why the hell am I doing it still, after years of making videos? Well, nobody believed that I was having meltdowns. Because of that formative experience in that therapy's office all those years ago, I had learned to mask well. And I was also a trauma survivor, which added on an entire new layer of complication because nobody knew what was going on at home and nobody bothered to ask. It was my second therapist who asked my parents to record them, so she'd have an idea of what she was meaning to treat. Hold on to that feeling of what the fuck, because you'll need it. My mom would just turn on her camera and let the meltdown run its course. It's not the best approach, but you have to understand, she would have no idea what to do. Nobody knew I was autistic. Nobody even regarded it as an option. My father, on the other hand, would shove his phone in my face and say, oh, I'm going to post this on Facebook. I'm going to post this on YouTube. Everyone's going to know what you're really like. I told my current therapist, who specializes in families like mine, about this, and he had the exact same reaction you're probably having right now. It was him who recommended I start showing my face, and it was my mom who agreed. Although, since she's my mom, she did it in a very roundabout way. I had become so obsessive over concealing my identity, you see. I was afraid to show up in the background of my brother's TikToks. Once, a YouTuber I admired, who lives in the same state as me, said on stream that they were going to film a vlog at a concert that I was also going to. I got so paranoid I would show up in the background of their video, I went as far as to wear a mask and sunglasses in the heat of summer for at least half of the concert. When I started dating, I got so afraid that my identity would be leaked by my significant others that I stopped sending them pictures of my face. Additionally, only 2 or 3 of my friends in real life know I do YouTube, and only one of them knows my handle. I did all of this while having less than 500 subscribers. Although the most potent part of my paranoia was the fear of my identity being discovered, this extended to the actual making of my content as well. Remember this guy? A couple videos ago, there was a segment where I wanted to discuss how my trauma had affected me, and how people who have gone through similar things are also affected. I felt so uncomfortable about the idea of talking to a camera about my trauma that I enlisted my childhood plushie to do the talking for me. The result was this weird segment where I was sat behind the camera, reading the script, pretending to be him. Cringe. I was also not confident enough in my identity to reveal my assigned gender at birth. Previously, I had joked about my terrible experiences with my menstrual cycle, but a year or so into making videos, I went back and deleted any content even vaguely hinting that I was assigned female at birth. I did this out of some desire to confuse the cis people watching my channel, I guess. I was non-binary at the time, and I wanted to be seen as truly genderless, with no hint either way. I'm luckily confident enough in my identity now to be unaffected by external perceptions of me, but I wasn't then. In fact, other people's perceptions of me have had an unreasonable amount of bearing on my life ever since I was yelled at in my father's rancid truck all those years ago. I would pretend they didn't, adopt a new identity every couple months as the rebel, but overall I was still very much afraid of what other people thought of me. By defining myself as the inverse to societal norms, I was still very much defining myself by societal norm. And when my therapist suggested I start showing my face, I suddenly saw all of this for what it was. Obsession, an obsessive desire to retain my anonymity in a career path where it detracts from my credibility and visibility to do so. An obsessive desire to be cool and be perceived as cool while simultaneously not revealing my true self. And as far as I'd come healing from all the shit my father did to me, I was still letting him affect me, even though it'd been months since we'd spoken. And I think I'm ready.
Hi, I'm Gloria. I'm autistic, I'm trans, and I'm traumatized. And while those things don't define me, they sure as hell contribute a lot to my sense of personal identity, and I'm no longer afraid of them. Thank you for coming to the Shroomy Show.